Life's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
The affective domain.
Effective schooling and societal change.
What is the affective domain?
The affective domain of learning is one of three learning domains as outlined in Bloom's taxonomy. 1956.
Cognitive domain, mental skills, knowledge and application. Affective domain, development of emotional control and understanding, attitude and disposition. Psychomotor domain, manual or physical skills, abilities.
A short history of the affective domain.
Bloom's taxonomy was designed to assist teachers in focusing on three domains of learning and to enable and facilitate the design of curricula and examination materials. A revised version with 4 domains was published in 2000. The affective has 5 process skills. Receiving, the student pays attention to the learning process. Responding, the student reacts to the learning process. Valuing, the student attaches value to knowledge and experiences. Organizing, the student can reorganize information and elaborate on ideas. Characterizing, the student develops values and beliefs which influence behavior.
21st century education and globalization. We as educators live in complex and testing times. Top-down attempts to modernize schools over the last 20 years have largely failed due to broad teacher resistance. The externally mandated policies of reform often adopted from business efficiency models have failed to culturally reform teaching, because of a failure to recognize the autonomy of teachers in the socio-political spaces that schools are in our communities. Attempts continue to define and demarcate schools as rigid learning enterprises that often lose sight of the roles of teachers in making schools dynamic learning communities. Society and schooling have changed dramatically as a consequence of the numerous technological revolutions of the past 20 years. Computer and communication technologies being at the forefront of change for economic activity, the methods of production, the nature of work and the prosperity of communities. Change has been quickening throughout human societal systems, affecting the ways in which we learn. The role of schooling is now more important than at any other time in human history. The need for professional learning communities, professional teachers and appropriately educated citizenry is now of great significance in determining the future prosperity and happiness of human communities. Teachers recruited in the 1960s and 70s have occupied schools for over 40 years and are about to retire en masse. The opportunity for systemic change will occur with new teachers and school leadership.
The affective domain. Emotionally supportive learning environments. Education and its role in reproducing society. Public schooling, historically, has played the role of preparing youth for the workplace. Schools serve the purpose of assessing and sorting students into catchments of academic potential and rank them accordingly. Education is traditionally elitist and class-orientated, with educational policymakers mostly originating from the elite classes and determining policy that favored existing economic systems and needs. The structures of schools resemble the industrial workshops of the pre-technological age. Students, like workers, are expected to be passive, uninquisitive, obedient and compliant.
The status quo and the affective domain. Traditionally, schools had few support structures for students and actively denied their emotional needs. The recognition and development of the affective domain in schooling is revolutionary, as it proposes the removal of an elitist system to one that advocates supportive educational structures in the pursuit of social equality and opportunity for all. This runs contrary to the current status quo, which seeks to oppress the general populace, whilst it reproduces its own structures of power and control.
Ideological platforms, dominant values and beliefs. Schools exist within a complex, historical socio-political context which determines policy and regulation of school policy. Existing power systems have served to naturally ameliorate natural change and human innovation and function to systematically remove dissent by imposing social spaces that demand fidelity and compliance. The determination of schooling policy has slowly begun to shift in favor of educators due to the litany of failed externally mandated policies and resistance to privatization and standardization of state-run education. The burgeoning wealth of academic research and increasing advocacy for educational change in self-determinant schools has opened the possibility for a new type of school. The opportunity is ripe for sustainable and ethically responsible education.
The status quo and the path forward. Progressive societies are moving beyond the overtly managed societal model and developing greater awareness of the frailties and flaws of a society of passive consumerism, political abeyance and prescribed social conformity. The desire to maintain control and power by dominant social structures is natural, and the only path forward is the shared realization of the mutual benefits for all citizenry in a more educated, more equal and just society. A smarter people will generate more wealth and improve the general quality of life for all within its community. Representative democracy has largely failed as a model and is continually abused by those that would shape public opinion and policy to favor their own vested interests and economic activities and maintain a desired status quo.
Part 2. Society, Power, Control, and Emotion. To change society means to change the ways in which students/future citizens are prepared to engage with society. Schools need school leaders and teachers to model the behaviors, dispositions, values, and beliefs that will become the adoptive paths and modalities for a better society and a better individual. Schools must create the supportive communal systems which are emotionally reflexive to social issues that are divisive and often manipulated to induce hierarchy and class distinction. The act of promoting and supporting the emotional learning domain is to overcome the divisiveness of poverty, the scourge of generational failure, the lack of cultural access, the persistence of fear and ignorance.
Deliberative society, active citizenry, real democracy.
Schools in general have not produced individuals who engage actively in deliberative democracy. The majority of citizens are poorly informed and lack understanding of important social issues that affect quality of life and human prosperity. Real democracy is about a change in community behavior that favors social equality, social justice and the scrutiny of truth and its methods of fabrication. Society must take responsibility for public policy advocacy, networking, and organizing. The oversight of community development and ongoing community scholarship.
The affective domain and cognitive behavior. Research shows that these two domains are linked in a continuous spiral of positive or negative human development. When we are successful or achieve, our emotional state improves. When we fail or are humiliated, our emotional state declines. Schooling has traditionally been emotionless and emotional support not on the teaching responsibility list. Emotional support has been removed from the industrialized workplace and to some degree from the cultural value system of Western society. The provision of emotional support was considered as aiding the weak and an inefficient use of teacher time. The simple act of giving emotional support is revolutionary in that it initiates the upward spiral and can reverse those in a downward spiral.
The affective domain promotes self-identity. When emotional support is given, individuals begin to develop greater awareness of their personal abilities, developing confidence and self-awareness. Self-value. When emotional support is given, students begin to value their abilities and skills and are more willing to contribute to social engagement. Students then begin the process of understanding and developing self-worth and their connection to community. Self-directedness and self-accountability. As a direct result of emotional support, students start to initiate their engagement with others, developing a set of values and beliefs in regard to society and the world around them.